Welcome. It is no accident that you have found your way to the Release the Genie podcast. What would you do with 3 wishes? And what if you discovered that you are in fact that very genie that could grant them? Well, join us now as we discover who our next genie is as we listen in and learn the stories of triumph, inspiration, and passion with some very special guests. And now, without further delay, your host of the Release the Genie podcast, Mr. Paul Rogers.
So good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're tuning in from for today's session. Oh my God, I've just spent a little while talking to this wonderful, wonderful soul. And I'm kind of filled up already before I even introduce you to this lady. Dondi Scumaci, because we just practiced that. This lady is amazing in that she is a speaker, an author, cultural shifter, and mentoring community designer. And we'll dig a little bit more into that as we go and the importance of that. Her work has made an impact on organizations around the world. She's also got some fantastic books, author of Design for Success. And listen to this, guys. What it was, the Ready, Set, Grow. Oh my God, what a wonderful thing to actually have said. I'm feeling inspired, and I know you're going to be feeling inspired. So without further ado, I bring very much my genie for today. Dondi, hello and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul. It's wonderful to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity.
It's hey, the feelings are mutual, and I know that value is not going to be an issue today. So tell us a little bit about you. I've kind of set the stage for you. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
So maybe in short, I make words do what I want them to, right? So I'm an author, a speaker, a consultant, and really the focus of my work is around designing a life that really works for you, designing a path that is uniquely your own. And so it really, there's an emphasis on the culture, there's an emphasis on mentoring, and then the books that I write are designed to mentor in an individual way. So that's the essence of my work. I live in San Antonio, Texas. My husband, we call him Machi, Scumaci for short is Machi. I have a son. I have 2 grandsons, and I have a wonderful horse named Fortunat that is my mentor.
Yeah, and we talked again about that, and I will certainly let you just explain how beautiful you found your core and a teacher as well. So hey, tell us that now, because I love that story. Tell me about your sort of, if that's okay, your about Fortunato and how that's had an impact on you.
Oh, such an impact. So first of all, I think that the underlying the foundational piece of that story is, can you ask yourself, are you willing to be new at something? Are you willing to be so brand new at something that you are even willing to look a little foolish? You're willing to be knocked off a mounting block at the barn. You're willing to make mistakes. You're willing to get feedback, hopefully supportive feedback. So I rescued a horse named Fortunato. He's a Spanish breed, and we ride dressage. And he has become, from all the way green to now, a really special performance athlete, and moving up the levels in dressage. He's quite fancy. He's also very sarcastic. Okay, so he's a gamesman, right? He wants to play games. And I was working with my trainer and instructor, and we were in this big arena, and he's sliding to the left, he's throwing his shoulder to the right, he's dropping back. And she said, stop. He is playing games with you and you're reacting to everything that he's doing. So if you put this leg on, he's going to slide over here. And if you put that arm down, he's going to back to the right. And she said, he's gaming you. He knows what you want, but he's got you in a process of reacting to everything that he's doing. I want you to find your core. I want you to find your frame. I want you to build a structure. And no matter what happens, you're going to hold that core. You're going to invite him into that balanced space. You're going to keep inviting him. And he may test those boundaries a little bit, but you just keep inviting him. It was like a switch was flipped in that lesson. Suddenly we went from looking like we were drunk, right, down the line, to balanced and centered with like good forward energy. And later what she said to me, she said, he's really smart. He's very literal, and he's going to be a great teacher for you because he knows what you want, but until you ask him correctly, he's giving you exactly what you're asking for, right? So you think you're asking for this. He's answering the question you're asking. And so what I've learned from him is how to be brave, how to be brand new at something and literally look ridiculous and laugh about it, how to ride the energy of life without trying to pull life back in, how to sit back and breathe. And it's counterintuitive, right? Because, when you're asking for those bigger gates, there's a part of you that wants just to fold into a fetal position. Well, life is a little bit like that. When you start to step out and take some risks, you may intuitively want to protect yourself. And really what you need to do is release those brakes.
It's totally right that it's the difference between control, where feeling that everything must, effectively be within your possession, to actually saying, all right, I'm not in control and I'm going to get comfortable not being in control.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, and you reminding me of my trainer. When we were going to some of the bigger gates, she would say, you're blocking his energy. You're asking him to go bigger, but you're gripping him, right? So you're going to need to release that. And I will tell you, that's one of the hardest things that I've ever done. To be nervous and afraid and to be on this big, powerful animal that wants to go really fast. And then to just say, I'm just going to ride that energy. I'm going to give you your room. I'm going to give you room to do this. And then you fly. And then you wonder, how come it took me so long, right? How come it took me so long? I was so afraid of this. And it's like flying. It's wonderful.
I mean, to be honest, now everyone, you can see why I was so excited to speak to Dondi. And you won't be surprised by this, but Dondi is also known for her highly energetic seminars. Well, that is of no surprise to me now. So you were talking about a release, and if I preempted the question, please, that's fine. But what is your aha? I mean, that's big enough aha by itself, but have you got a release of the Genie moment, or was that kind of it for you?
I think that's been a recent sort of with the dressage, learning so much and then kind of applying those leadership lessons, right? I'm actually doing some work now about it's called leadership from the ground up. Like, how do I kind of apply what I'm learning through dressage to my life, to my relationships? But I would say, as I was thinking about our conversation today, and as I've watched some previous sessions that were so energizing and motivating for me, and to hear those Genie stories, that's powerful. I have a belief that we all come to the earth fully loaded with gifts and talents, special things that are ours. I don't think they come with batteries included. Right. So I guess my moment was when I realized you have to open your gifts and you have to develop your gifts. They may come in a raw state. And really the process of life, and as you and I have been talking, if you trust the process, the process is really about developing your gifts, growing in an authentic way. I think all of us, if you trace the steps of anybody who has made an enduring difference with their lives, if you trace that journey and look at their steps, you'll see what they've been through, what they've struggled with, prepared them to make a difference, right? And so so trusting the process means telling yourself you are here to make a difference. And the things we go through are preparing you to step into that space confidently and do exactly that. So, I was a banker, right? I was an executive for a couple of banks, one in the Northwest and then one a national bank. And I was in charge of Salesforce and the customer experience. And I had worked really hard to achieve that position, that title. And from the outside looking in, you'd probably think, wow, that girl's arrived. She's nailed it. From the inside out, I was literally languishing, right? I was successful in terms of the results and the numbers, but I was increasingly dissatisfied. In fact, the higher up I went in that environment, I was interacting more with, attorneys, acquisitions, reports, compliance, media, and my true love was people, developing people and helping them release their potential. And so I became increasingly dissatisfied and uncomfortable. And I think sometimes, there are a lot of signals, right? It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. And I came to believe that you're never going to become comfortable here again or satisfied because it's time to go, right? And so I stepped out to become a consultant, which I believe is just code for unemployed. And it was a big, scary, frightening step. And I wish I could tell anyone out there that's thinking of making that kind of radical move in your life that it's all, unicorns and roses. It wasn't. It was scary. There were some dark days. There were some days where I really had to just dig deep to find my resiliency and my tenacity and strength to move forward. But I just kept focusing on what is the thing I can do? What is the next step? So kind of micro processing that. I'm not in control of all of this, but what is the thing I can do today to make one step closer to what I envision? And I just kept taking, and by the way, sometimes those steps felt insignificant. They felt small, but one after another, they start to add up. And then things started to happen and things started to come together. And I realized one other, and I think there's lots of ahas when you open that box, as you talk about, right? You're going to find lots of ahas along the way. I learned that I had, for most of my career, grown up in that scarcity mentality, right? So there's a pie and we're all competing for our piece of the pie. And it was an amazing moment when I realized that there is another way of looking at life, and that was abundance. And so it allowed me to feel more generous, right? I was surrounded by people who were generous, who were absolutely giving the support and helping me to succeed. I remember asking a consultant in my business, in my line of work, in my field, after he'd spent, I don't know, an hour and a half with me on a cell phone back in the day when you actually paid for those minutes. And I said, not to be arrogant, but I said, I'm not good at this yet, but I'm going to be really good at this. And you're going to be my competitor. So why would you give me 10 pages of notes? And he laughed, and I'll always remember it. Mark Sanborn, he said, I can produce it faster than you can consume it. And I laughed really hard. He laughed really hard. And then he said, Dondi, you have exited space that was scarcity driven. You have entered a space which is abundance driven. And all I ask of you is that when someone comes to you and they say, how do I, that you will take the time. That's all I ask in return, that you will pay this forward. And I cannot tell you how many times I have been asked, how did you, how could I, how would I get started? And those words ring in my ears. And regardless of whether it's convenient or not, yes, I have time. I absolutely have time.
That is beautiful. And, you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you won't go. And so I love that. It's such a good summary. So I'm really excited to know what actually is your mantra. And I know there must be more than one, but what's one of your favorites?
I think I've mentioned a couple of them. One of them is a question. I like asking big questions, right? So sometimes I feel pressed, when I feel intimidated, when I'm stepping into maybe a new arena, and I'm doing more of that now with doing some video stuff, and and I get a little nervous about that. It's not my background. I have so much to learn, and so the question I ask myself is, well, are you willing to be new?
Mm,
Are you willing to do that? I think probably my overarching one, and you've heard it in this conversation many times today, trust the process.
mm,
I'm going to trust the process because the process is working its way through. And what you're going to learn and become, it's a little bit like, I'm a very goal-oriented person, but it was an aha moment for me to discover that the goal is important. It sort of creates focus and applied energy. But I often tell my clients that I'm going to celebrate your achievements, and of course, I want you to accomplish your goals.
mm,
I'm interested in what you do to your goals, how you impact them. I'm more interested in how your goals impact you, because to me, that's the whole point, right? It's the process, it's the journey that is the whole point. And so I'm learning, maybe a little late on, but I'm learning how to sort of, as I said with the dressage, okay, you're going to a bigger gate here. Can you breathe? Can you relax? Can you create the space? Can you be counterintuitive right now? You may feel fear, right? So it's counterintuitive to release at that moment and to relax in that moment. Are you willing to be new?
There's so many takeaways, and I know that's going to resonate with so many people who question, oh, is this the right way? So beautiful advice. Thank you so much. I mean, I haven't got to my wishes yet, but I already feel that I've had my wishes fulfilled. So well done. So what are you working on right now? I'm really interested. What's cooking in your kitchen at the moment?
So I've got a lot of things cooking. My fourth book is in process right now, Leadership from the Ground Up, the Fortunato files, if you will, trying to make those direct connections between what I'm learning there and the leadership life lessons that are contained within it. I'm also getting ready to launch some video streaming pieces that would be almost like that mentoring moment for people. And I'm on a huge learning curve. And so, that's going to be interesting, but I'm loving it. And I'm going to kind of step into that arena, and I'm going to see what happens. Of course, we're always doing a lot around content design, mentoring design, community design. And so the folks that I work with are busy kind of as the new year begins. We'll be launching mentoring partnerships around the world, and we will watch them take off, and we will support them as they fly.
That again, I keep using the word. I'm going to find a different word. What I really love about what you're saying is you're quite happy to show your vulnerability and also be very authentic about what you're doing. It's not just a slick marketing. Oh, this is you.
Yeah, I think on these videos that are coming up, you may see, but you know what I'm finding? I have watched, because I do a fair amount of speaking from the platform, and when I started, the audiences might be 25, and then you're in Australia or Africa, and you have 10,000 people in the audience, and there were moments where I would start to say, me, like, what could I possibly bring to this group? I remember being in Africa and having this thought in my head. These people, many of them speak 5, 6, 7, 8 languages: Zulu, Sotho, Afrikaans. They're amazing. You speak one, and not always perfectly, right? And so I think that sometimes we can kind of get up in our own head, and we start to think that maybe I'm not ready for this, and maybe I'm over my skis here. And in that moment, what I will tell myself is sit back, breathe. Everything that you have done, everything you have gone through has prepared you to step into this new arena. And wait for it. And if you fail, the people will support you because they're good.
And I think it's a trade-off, isn't it? If you're willing to actually say, look, I'm infallible, then natural response is to say, okay, how can I help?
Yeah.
So
I think sometimes I started to say I kind of lost my track of thoughts. I get very excited talking to you, but I have watched some of the most profoundly powerful speakers, and I think they're breaking all the rules.
yeah.
They're not slick. They're they're not wearing a suit. Their hair is crazy, right? And people love them. And what people are attracted to is that authenticity, that emotional connection. And I remember really trying to work on my delivery, right? And bring it. And then I found out people just want to know who you are. And more than that, you've said this to me, it's not about you at all. It's about them. By the end of a big speech, my hair will be like messed up. Like I will be a mess. There will be like, dark circles under my eyes. I am just, but you know what? I call that leaving it on the field. If I start out looking okay, it's a good day. By the end of it, I'm going to be a mess. And I just tell them that I will be a mess when this is over. Just know that I'm not leaving anything on the table, right? I'm going to give you everything I've got, and that's going to mess my hair up.
If it was your hair, I think they'll be forgiven that. But putting your whole heart into something like you said there is, and you can't expect to get back what you're not prepared to give. And I think you are very aware of that relationship, which I think is one of your your little secret moments there. So I'm going to dive into my 3 wishes, because when we talk secrets, let's talk wishes. So are you ready?
I am.
Okay, let's roll. My first wish is, what has been the best advice you've received in your life?
You have options. There are more options than you're aware of. Don't settle.
Wow. Profound moment straight off the bat. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where we go next, but wonderful. I mean, goodness me. So I'm going to move on to wish number 2, and I'm getting more excited as we do it. What advice would you give your younger self?
Trust yourself more. Trust yourself more. You've got this. And people approving of you is not the point. Right? I had that approval seeking gene. Like, it's really important for people to like you. It's really important for people to approve of you. And when you live your life like that, you are thrown around by every wind and wave, right? The moment you realize that was a script that ran in my head. And when I talk to audiences about this, they many people, you can just see them. I get that. I had the people approving gene fully embedded in my system. And that's a script, right? That's running in your head. I had to cross through that. Like, literally, I wrote that down. This is a belief that is limiting me, right? I drag it out, put it on paper, and then flip the script, rewrite that. You have to reprogram that. And what I actually did this, literally, I wrote down, instead of, it's important for people to like me, it's important for me to make a difference. Liking me is not the point. And I tell people, I'm not that I want you to hate me, right? Let's not get crazy, right? But it's no longer my focus. If you don't like me for whatever reason, and I've heard it all, I have heard it all in the feedback. I hate her hair. I hate her suit, right? I have seen it all. And my whole thing is, you know what? Godspeed, John Glenn. Did I make a difference? Did I get you to think? Did I get you to shift a bit in terms of what you believe is possible for you? If I did any of those things, then I've earned my keep today. Liking me isn't the point at all. And the moment that I got off of that approval thing, it freed me up. It released the energy because it took the focus off of, do I look okay? Do I sound okay? Do I look smart? Do they like me? Do they like me? Please, right? And now I can just bring it.
Yeah. And as you say, I mean, I know you're very sensitive to the energy flow and things. So, unblocking that, as your potential was right behind that. And now it's like, whoosh, it's come through. So,
it's liberating.
Yeah, no, I
way of
love it.
putting Yep.
I love it. Well, anyone if you're not inspired by now, then you need to check your pulse. So let me then move on to my final wish, which is, could you share with us one personal habit that's attributed to your success?
I'm a deep faith, right? I'm a person of faith. So one of my habits is to kind of center in that way, right? To be still and to listen, right? I pray a lot, but I'm learning how to shut up. Right? So it's really about listening and just tuning in and being available, right? And really creating that quietness. And that's not easy for me because my mind wants to run, right? So it's really about, can I get to that deeper place? Because for me, that's where the treasures live. The insights are there. And when I do that ritually, when I do that as a discipline, I find that all day long, insights happen, thoughts drop in. It's not just in that moment, but if you set some time aside to be listening, first thing in the day, then all day long, you're going to hear.
Yeah. And it's so right. And people talk, mindset and things. It's not, it's just being open to things that may come your way, which if you were too busy or wrapped up in yourself, they just pass you by.
It's a little bit like, I sometimes say it this way. Have you ever bought a car and then you leave the lot and you notice all the cars just like your car? Like, do you think they weren't there before? They were, you just weren't looking for them. You weren't paying attention. So when we do that, when we create that space intentionally to listen, we're going to start bumping into information, insights, and we're going to think, whoo, that's amazing. That's magic. Well, actually, you just were paying attention.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. And again, a real resonating point. So, I just wondered, have you got a book or something which, has inspired and helped you at all?
Oh, The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver. Bob Berg, John David Mann, The Go-Giver. Absolutely. And I would say that my shelf is sort of filling with the series because they build on each other and the story moves on. And I'm hearing some pretty special things are about to happen with the next in line for The Go-Giver. I won't spill the popcorn in the lobby, but I'll just tell you it's going to be wonderful. I learned so much from that, and have read it many times, and it's one of those timeless books. Right. So no matter when you read it, you're going to find, even though you've moved forward in your journey, okay. Right. So the 5 laws of stratospheric success are certainly worth investing in.
I mean, I know I've got a lot of Bob Berg fans because Bob was very kind to be on the show. And to be honest, everyone loved it. So
he's amazing.
It's so
my mentor.
Yep. It's going to be questionable who's mentoring who, but we'll leave that for another day. Where can people find you? Because, I know that people are going to want to reach out to you. So let us know where you hang out.
It's all, I hang out just under the name Dondi Scumaci. So it's Dondi Scumaci on all the social media, Dondi Scumaci, dondiscumaci.com. And that's where your audience can click a link to download the first chapter of my latest book, Career Moves, which Bob Berg endorsed, which was an amazing gift to me. So the first chapter is there. Of course, I hope you love it and you want to read the whole thing, but the first chapter actually has some standalone value.
That's amazing. And what a gift to give everyone as well. Fantastic. So we unfortunately come to the sad part of the show as we're coming to the end, which is kind of sad. To summarize, a real authentic, all in, nothing left on the table, trusting the process and owning the space and prepared to look foolish, prepared to not be an expert. I mean, it's all here. And to be honest, if you want to be mentored or get in touch with that, you're going to have to go a long way to find somebody who's actually got more energy and passion to help you. So I'd like to again once say thank you very much to today's Genie, Dondi. Have you enjoyed yourself?
I have absolutely loved this. This is how we should start every day, right? This should be one of the rituals, to surround yourself by people who just bring the energy. Thank you so much. It's been lovely.
To be honest, it's wonderful. And I know the audience is going to be leaning forward as well, going, me. So if you've been inspired by this, ladies and gentlemen, please keep on watching. We have such amazing people. And I'd like you now to really take the guts of what we've said today, pay it forward, and release your genie. Till the next time, guys, thank you once again, Dondi, and we will see you on the next one.
Well, that's a wrap. You have been listening to yet another episode of the Release the Genie podcast with host Paul Rogers. Be sure to follow Paul on the LinkedIn platform and learn more of Paul's resources at www.takeactionacademy.ca. And until next time, as always, be mindful and be sure to release your genie. Thanks for listening.